So, this is going to sound a little weird, but stick with me. I'm not usually the guy to notice tiny things, but lately, something felt off. It started with little things. My wife, let's call her Lisa, suddenly leaving her phone face down on the kitchen counter, which was weird because she's usually super protective of it. Then there were the late nights at work she never mentioned before, and I swear, I caught a faint smell of perfume on her hoodie that wasn't hers. I tried to brush it off at first. Maybe I was imagining things. I'm generally trusting, and I hate assuming the worst. But then it got weirder. One Saturday morning, while she was in the shower, her laptop pinged with an email notification. Normally, I'd just ignore it, but for some reason, curiosity got the best of me. I glanced over and saw something that froze me in place. A forwarded email from a luxury real estate site. Something about investments, plus a few PDFs titled 6 Ways to Get Rich Fire and 5 Powerful Assets that Guarantee Wealth and Success, white heavy checkmarked. Now, I don't mind her being ambitious, but these weren't your typical financial tips PDFs. They were more like personal manifestos with detailed plans about money, hidden accounts, and some strange mentions of people I didn't recognize. I shut the laptop instantly, heart racing, pretending I hadn't seen anything. And that's when I realized I didn't just feel like something was off. I had proof that things were complicated. After that morning, I couldn't stop thinking about the PDFs. I kept replaying what I saw over and over, like my brain refused to let it go. I tried to act normal around Lisa, but every glance at her made me suspicious. She was humming in the kitchen, making coffee, totally unaware, or maybe pretending to be. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she was just planning some side hustle. I mean, she's always been ambitious. But then came the small lies. She told me she was at a work meeting one evening, only for me to spot her car parked outside a building that clearly wasn't an office. My stomach dropped, but I didn't confront her yet. I needed more information. That's when I accidentally stumbled across her notebook. I swear, it was just lying there on the nightstand. And inside, in her messy handwriting, were names, numbers, and some really detailed plans about investments, properties, and even some mentions of people I didn't recognize, people who were obviously not her coworkers. It felt like I'd walked into a secret life I had no part of. And just like that, the gut feeling I'd been ignoring turned into a full-blown knot of worry and anger. Something was going on, and I had to find out what. I couldn't take it anymore. That night, after dinner, I decided to confront her. I tried to stay calm, but my voice probably betrayed me. "Lisa, can we talk?" I said, leaning against the counter like I was holding myself together. She looked up, confused, her smile fading when she noticed the serious look on my face. I took a deep breath. I saw the PDFs and the notebook. What the hell is going on? Her reaction surprised me. Instead of the denial I expected, she paused, then sighed. "Okay," she said quietly, almost like she'd been waiting for me to notice. She admitted she'd been exploring financial opportunities outside our joint knowledge, some legal, some borderline shady. She said she wanted to secure our future, wanted to guarantee wealth for us both. I wanted to feel relief, but I didn't. The trust was gone in a flash. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice cracking slightly. "We're supposed to be partners. We make decisions together." She explained that she didn't want to worry me, that she was trying to protect me, or maybe herself. The way she said it, I couldn't tell which. By the end of the conversation, I was numb. I didn't yell. I didn't storm out, but I felt a cold, sinking feeling in my chest. Things had changed, and I had no idea if we could ever go back to the way things were. The next few days were weird. I tried to act normal around Lisa, but every interaction felt like walking on a tightrope. I couldn't stop thinking about what she had admitted, and honestly, I felt a mix of admiration and betrayal. Part of me admired her ambition, really I did. But another part of me couldn't shake the feeling that I didn't know the person I married. I started doing my own digging, not in a creepy way, I promise, but just paying attention. I noticed she was getting calls from numbers I didn't recognize, emails that disappeared too quickly, and occasional late-night text alerts she hid when I walked by. Then came the weirdest part. One evening, I followed a hunch and went to a local coffee shop she never goes to. And there she was, sitting with two sharply dressed men, laughing, showing them something on her laptop. From what I could see, it was one of those PDFs, her 6 ways to get rich fire plan, I realized. She was negotiating deals without me knowing. Seeing her like that, confident, in control, and completely separate from the life we shared, hit me harder than I expected. It wasn't just the secrecy. It was that she had built a part of her life I couldn't touch, no matter how hard I tried. After that coffee shop incident, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying what I saw over and over in my head. My chest felt tight, and I found myself questioning everything. Our life together, the trust we had, and even my own judgment. I started snapping at her over small things, how she loaded the dishwasher, how she left socks on the floor, because I needed some outlet for the anger and confusion. She noticed, of course, and asked what was wrong. I couldn't tell her the whole truth. Part of me didn't even fully understand it myself. It wasn't just about the money or the secrecy anymore. It was about the fact that we were living parallel lives under the same roof. She was building wealth and connections that I didn't know existed, and I felt like a bystander in my own marriage. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my coffee, and realized something. I had a decision to make. Do I confront her fully and risk destroying whatever trust remained? Or do I quietly watch, hoping things wouldn't spiral out of control? I didn't know the answer yet, but I knew I couldn't stay passive forever. A few nights later, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told her we needed to sit down and have a serious talk. No distractions, no excuses. She looked nervous but didn't protest, which only made my stomach twist. I laid it all out. What I saw on her laptop, the notebook, the late-night meetings, the coffee shop. I told her how it made me feel like I didn't even know her anymore, like our marriage was just one layer of her life. She took a deep breath and confessed everything. Apparently, she'd been building multiple investment portfolios, meeting with financial advisors and business partners, and even exploring some high-risk ventures, all behind my back. She swore it was to secure our future, that she never meant to hurt me, and that she genuinely thought she was protecting me from stress. I wanted to scream. I wanted to feel relief, but I felt betrayed instead. Protecting me? I asked, my voice trembling. By lying to me every step of the way? She nodded, tears in her eyes. I didn't know how to tell you. I wanted us to have a future free from financial worry. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about money. It was about trust, communication, and the life we thought we were building together. After that confrontation, I spent the next few days in a fog. I went for long walks, trying to clear my head, but all I could think about was her secret life and how much it hurt to be left out. I kept asking myself, could I forgive this? Could we rebuild trust after such a breach? I started making lists. Practical ones, emotional ones, everything. Pros and cons of staying, pros and cons of leaving. Staying meant keeping the family together, hoping she'd change, maybe even learning from her drive. Leaving meant preserving my dignity, regaining control over my life, and not being a pawn in someone else's secret game. And then the unexpected hit me. I realized that in all of this, I had lost sight of myself. I had let her ambition and her secrecy overshadow my own needs and goals. For the first time, I saw that wealth wasn't just about money or investments. It was about self-respect, emotional security, and clarity. I didn't make a decision that day, but I knew I had to start taking back control of my own life, regardless of what happened with her. I decided I needed a plan, not just for the marriage, but for myself. I started small. I went through my own finances, investments, and long-forgotten side hustles. Turns out, I had some savings and a few assets that I'd never really considered seriously. Seeing that gave me a strange surge of confidence. I also started reading, really reading, about wealth and success. I came across articles, podcasts, and even old PDFs I'd downloaded years ago but never used. One of them listed 5 powerful assets that guarantee wealth and success, white heavy checkmark, and I realized she had been chasing the same things I'd ignored. Real estate, knowledge, networks, personal growth, and time. It hit me. She wasn't inherently wrong in wanting to secure our future. The problem was secrecy, and I could use her ambition as a wake-up call rather than a threat. I began setting my own goals, drafting plans, and quietly rebuilding my sense of independence. For the first time in months, I felt like I wasn't just reacting. I was creating my own path forward. And that felt powerful. As I started reclaiming my independence, a new problem emerged: how to deal with her secret ventures. I kept thinking, do I just let this slide? Confront her again? Or quietly take control of my own finances and ignore hers? One evening, I decided to bring it up, not angrily this time, but calmly. "Lisa, I get that you were trying to protect us financially," I said, "but we can't keep secrets like this. I need to know everything. No more side lives I'm not part of." She sighed, nodding, and admitted she hadn't thought about how it would feel from my perspective. She said she wanted to merge our plans eventually, but got scared of my reaction. It was hard to listen without feeling a mix of frustration and sympathy. That night, I realized something crucial. Wealth isn't just money. It's trust, honesty, and shared vision. I had been obsessing over her PDFs and investments, but the bigger issue was the foundation of our relationship, and I couldn't ignore that any longer. After weeks of reflection, I finally felt ready to make some decisions. I listed out my non-negotiables: transparency, respect, and shared goals. If those weren't met, I knew the marriage couldn't survive, even if the money and lifestyle were appealing. I also laid out my own financial plan. I started small, investing in assets I understood, like a rental property I had always wanted and a side business I had neglected. I realized that real wealth isn't just about chasing flashy schemes. It's about building something tangible, sustainable, and aligned with your values. Then came the hardest part: the conversation with Lisa. I told her I needed full honesty moving forward, and that secrecy was a deal breaker. She promised to be transparent, but I made it clear actions would speak louder than words. Trust had to be rebuilt, brick by brick. It was tense, emotional, and exhausting, but at least now I had a plan. Not just financially, but for the relationship itself. I finally felt like I was steering my own life again, instead of reacting to her secretive moves. Just when I thought I had some control over the situation, life threw me a curveball. A week after our agreement, one of Lisa's side deals blew up, literally. One of her real estate investments went south faster than I could process, and she called me in tears, panicked about the potential losses. At first, I felt a rush of vindication. Finally, reality caught up with her. But then something strange happened. I didn't feel joy or superiority. I felt worried. About her. About us. About how fragile this whole system of secret wealth building really was. We ended up spending the night crunching numbers together, arguing, laughing nervously, and even celebrating small wins as we patched the situation. It was messy, exhausting, but also eye-opening. For the first time, it felt like we were actually partners, facing risks together instead of hiding them from each other. It was a chaotic reminder that wealth, real, sustainable wealth, isn't just about flashy PDFs or secret investments. It's about shared responsibility, honesty, and resilience when the unexpected hits. After surviving the investment fiasco, I realized I couldn't rely on Lisa's plans or her secrecy to secure my future. It was time to focus on my own powerful assets. I started with knowledge, reading books on finance, attending webinars, and even reaching out to mentors I'd ignored for years. Next, I focused on networks. I reconnected with old colleagues, joined local business groups, and started meeting people who actually inspired me. Then came personal growth, small things at first, like waking up earlier, exercising, and setting daily goals that weren't just about money. As I built these foundations, I noticed something surprising. My relationship with Lisa began to change. She started consulting me about decisions, sharing her progress, and genuinely asking for my input. It wasn't perfect, but the power dynamic shifted from secrecy and suspicion to collaboration and mutual respect. It was empowering and terrifying because I realized that wealth isn't just a number in a bank account. It's confidence, independence, and the ability to navigate life's chaos without losing yourself. Just as I was settling into this new rhythm, another curveball hit. Lisa's next big venture involved a high-stakes deal with people I didn't know. And this time, she didn't tell me the full details up front. My old instincts flared up: suspicion, anger, panic. I wanted to retreat, to shut down, to protect myself. But instead, I took a deep breath and asked questions, really asked, without judgment. I learned more than I expected. The deal had risks, yes, but also potential for both of us to benefit. And for the first time, I felt like I had agency. I could weigh the pros and cons, voice my concerns, and actually influence the outcome. The lesson hit me hard. Trust isn't about blind faith, and wealth isn't about hiding the risks. It's about honest communication, calculated decisions, and being willing to face uncertainty together. It wasn't easy. There were arguments, doubts, and a few sleepless nights, but it was real. By the end of that week, I realized we weren't just surviving chaos anymore. We were building something stronger, grounded in transparency and shared ambition. After months of chaos, secrecy, and emotional roller coasters, something shifted. Lisa and I finally found a rhythm. We weren't perfect. There were still disagreements and moments of tension, but we were honest with each other, sharing plans, fears, and successes. I realized that wealth wasn't just about money or flashy investments. It was about building assets in all areas of life: knowledge, relationships, personal growth, and time. And most importantly, it was about trust, the kind that allows two people to take risks together without hiding from each other. By consciously investing in myself while supporting her ambitions, I felt a sense of balance I hadn't experienced in years. We started setting joint goals, celebrating wins, and facing setbacks as a team. The PDFs that once caused suspicion now became discussion points, tools for collaboration rather than secrecy. For the first time, I didn't feel like a bystander in my own life. I felt empowered, respected, and genuinely connected, not just financially, but emotionally. Looking back, I realized this whole ordeal wasn't just about money or secret investments. It was about trust, communication, and personal growth. I learned that wealth isn't only about cash or assets. It's about the foundations you build in your life: honesty, independence, knowledge, relationships, and resilience. If I could give advice to anyone in a similar situation, it would be this: trust, but verify. Notice the small changes, but don't jump to conclusions without evidence. Communicate openly. Hiding ambitions or mistakes only breeds distance. Invest in yourself. Knowledge, networks, and personal growth are as valuable as any financial asset. Face unexpected challenges together. Crises reveal character and create opportunities for partnership. Set boundaries. Define what you need in trust, respect, and shared vision. Learn from chaos. Even betrayals or mistakes can teach resilience and strategy. At the end of the day, Lisa and I survived the secrets, the risks, and the emotional roller coaster, and came out stronger, both as partners and as individuals. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't pretty, but it was real. And maybe that's the truest form of wealth there is.